Hello guys, and welcome back to another Minecraft Mod tutorial. In today's episode, we are going to be doing custom commands, as well as creating the teleporter block for our dimension. So let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is create a new package inside of Harry.mod called .commands, and create a new class called command dimension teleport. This class is going to extend command base, Control Shift over to import, and then hover over and add all the unimplemented methods. At the top here, we're going to have something called aliases. It's a private final list of string called aliases, and these are things that can be used in place of the actual full command name. So you'll see in a minute, equals lists dot new array list reference to mod ID, and then after that there's going to be lots of different strings. So we can use TP, TPDim, TP dimension, teleport dimension, and teleport. Make sure to import java.util.list instead of any other lists. So these are all the different things you can type. So you can type TP, you can type TPDim, TP dimension, teleport dimension, and teleport, and it would all execute the same command. We want to do the execute function next. So if args.length is less than 1, so if there aren't any arguments, then return, as you can't run a command without arguments. Arguments are like things such as the dimension ID to teleport to, or the players to teleport to in the normal dimension in the normal teleport command. We're going to need a couple of variables. String s equals args0. This is the first argument. There's only one argument for this. And then int dimension ID. So this is the ID of the dimension you want to teleport to. Open up a try catch. You won't have used this before, but basically it tries something, and if that thing fails, then it will send a message. So try and then catch, open brackets, number format exception, E, sender dot send message, a new text component string, text formatting dot red plus dimension ID invalid. So if the try fails, which will put some code in there in a minute, then we will say that the dimension ID is invalid in the red colour. And then inside the try, dimension equals integer dot parseInt s. Dimension ID, sorry. So it looks for our dimension ID inside of all the dimensions and see if they can find it. If sender is an instance of entity player, then we'll put some code in there in a minute. For the getName function, return, and this will be the full name of the command, Mine is TP dimension. Get usage. This will be return. And then this is how it's supposed to work. TP dimension. And then in triangles ID. So this is the correct formatting. So you do the TP dimension followed by the dimension ID you want to teleport to. Get aliases. Return aliases. Check permission. So this is like who can run this command. Anyone can run this command, so it's return true. So now what goes inside of here? Well, this is going to be the code for teleporting, which we're going to put in a different class. I'm going to put a package called commands.util. And inside of here, I'm going to put teleport. This extends teleporter. So we need a couple of things. Private final world server world Control-Shift-O to import. So the world server is just the world, but you can also access things on the server side, such as dimension handling. And then private double x, y, z. Then we need the actual constructor, which has world server, world, double x, double y, double z. It's going to super off of the world. This dot world equals world. This dot x equals x. This dot y equals y. And this dot z equals z. Then there's going to be two functions in here. Place in portal. This dot world dot get block state. New block pos. Integer this dot y and integer this dot z. Entity dot set position to xyz. Entity dot motion x equals 0f. Entity dot motion y equals 0f. And entity dot motion z equals 0f. So what this does is when you click on the portal block or you execute the command, it will place you into the actual portal block and make sure you're not moving so it can teleport you. That's how it works. And then we're going to have one of our own functions, public static void teleport to dimension. In here, the parameters, we're going to have the player, entity player, the dimension, int dimension, and double x, double y, double z. Control-Shift-O to import entity player. Then int old dimension equals player dot get entity world dot provider dot get dimension entity player MP equals bracket entity player MP player, and this entity player MP is just an entity player that can store lots of different values based around the player. So if we're looking here, it stores the player's health, experience, armor, all the information that the player has around them when they're entering into a different dimension, and when you are transforming between the client and the server. Then Minecraft server equals player dot get entity world dot get Minecraft server. You may remember a few of these values from when we were creating structures. And world server equals server dot get world dimension. Then if world server is null or server is null, throw new illegal argument exception dimension colon space plus dimension, which is the dimension ID, plus space doesn't exist. So if it can't find the world server or the server, then throw an exception. But if it can, world server dot get Minecraft server dot get player list dot transfer player to dimension entity player MP dimension new teleport world server XYZ, and player dot set position and update XYZ. So this is just getting where the player is in the world and then teleporting him to the new dimension, and that is that utility command done. And then in the if sender is an instance of entity player, do teleport to dimension sender dimension ID sender dot get pos dot get x, and copy this twice for get y and get z. And just before sender, open some brackets and put entity player. And it's important that you put return after the catch to make sure that this dimension ID is initialized. If you don't put return, then it won't go through the try again until it finds a correct dimension. It will only go through it once, meaning that the dimension ID hasn't actually been found and you'll never actually teleport. So once you've done all that, give it a save, and inside of the main there is going to be a new event handler called server init, which is an FML server starting event. And in registry handler we are going to create a new public static void called server registries, and in there we are going to put, inside of that we have FML server starting event, and put event dot register server command new TP dimension command. New command dimension teleport. Then back in main, put registry handler dot server registries event. Now to create the block for teleporting, if you want your teleporter block, go into objects, blocks, and create a new class called block teleporter. Extend block base. Add the constructor. Set the material. The only thing that'll be different is on block activated. This is called when the block is right clicked. If exclamation mark world in dot is remote. So if the world is not remote, teleport dot teleport to dimension player in. You can do this one of two ways actually. The way I'm going to do it is very simple, but using your knowledge of GUIs and containers, you could create it so when you right click it, you open a GUI and a container where you can input the dimension you want to teleport to, and then you can teleport to that. I'm going to do a lot more simple way. Just when I click on it, it'll teleport to dimension 2, which is going to be the ID of my dimension, which we'll do in the next episode. I'm just going to do player in dot get position dot get x, copy it 3 times, change it to get y, and get z, put get y plus 5 to make sure you're not in the ground, and return true. Else return false. Obviously you need to register that and block in it, and so on and so forth. You can go and do that yourself, but I'm just going to demonstrate now how this works. So now if you type in /TP, you can, and click tab, you can see there's TP, there's TP dim, there's TP dimension. I'm going to do /TP dim, and then you input a dimension ID, -1 for nether, 0 for overworld, and 1 for end. So TP dim 1, hit enter, and it'll load you into the end. So I've just made a quick modification. Inside of here, you need to put if dimension ID equals 1, then teleport dimension. When you're in the end, you have to teleport to a certain place or you'll just fall out and die. So 0, 55, 0. Else, teleport dimension, the code I had before. As you can see, we actually teleported to the correct location this time. Except I was a bit too low, so I'll adjust that value to 65. But as we can clearly see, it's worked. So if I do /TP dim -1, I'll teleport to the nether, and I'll land in the nether right here with all the pig zombies. And TP dim 0, I'll spawn back in the overworld. As you can see, the command is clearly working. If you created that block, when you right click it, it won't do anything as we don't have dimension 2 yet. So stay tuned for that on my channel. It'll be coming in the next week or so. So thanks for watching. My name's been Harry, and goodbye.